Welcome, everybody, back to another session of Coach's Clinic. I am Coach JJ. I will take you through today's session, of course. And today's topic, we're going to talk about programming, right? Basically, a template that I personally use for most of my clients, even with myself. But really, as we work through this, the purpose of the session is to discuss really movement over muscle group, right? So you're focusing more on the movement patterns versus just isolating a particular muscle. Also, providing an effective template that will help you engage your entire body. And also, I'm going to demonstrate a sampling of the programming, the way in which you can put it together yourself. And gives you an idea into my mindset of how I go about my programming for most of my clients too. And so if you're going to join in on some of these movements, having a pair of dumbbells will be handy because we will be using them. Having a floor space or even a bench, if you have a bench or something that you can lay on. If you don't have a bench, you can easily do this on the floor too. That's fine. But of course, if you don't have a certain piece of equipment, like you're still looking for dumbbells, right? You need massage equipment, what have you. We do have that over on our shop page at goldenhomefitness.com. So just visit that, click on the shop page, and you'll have access to a lot of the different pieces of equipment that we do sell. We also sell supplements, things to kind of help you out, even with boosting energy, things like that. So go ahead and check that out once we finish with today's session. But the main goal for your training, right, is to, and even as a personal trainer, right, it's to help me improve my clients' movement efficiency and their ability to perform daily tasks, right? So in other words, help them to move pain-free. No one wants to be, experiencing aches and pains every time they try to do a movement or even just sitting or standing up from a seated position, right? So our goal is to get them moving so that they experience less or even just eliminate that pain altogether. And what we need to understand when it comes to our programming is that muscles, right, the muscles in your body, the fascial or connective tissue in your body, they, excuse me, they work together as a cohesive unit, right? And rarely do muscles work in isolation. So, and I've touched on this before in past videos, but it's always good to remind you that our body is one unit that's trying to work together. And focusing on specific muscle groups, ironically, can create an imbalance because of the types of movements that you'll be performing for those specific muscle groups, right? And oftentimes, whether it be, just like a biceps curl or a knee extension or a knee, leg curl, you are not performing movements that are translatable to what you do for everyday movements, just going about your day, right? So that's the reason why I'm focusing on the program template for this, excuse me, for movement, is because that's what's going to be more practical in the everyday setting. And now I'm not saying it's wrong to try to target specific muscle groups. That is one way to train, right? There's no doubt about that. But you got to think about, why am I doing this? Okay. You have bodybuilders who will do that, and it's functional for them because of the competitions they may be doing. They need those muscles to really show, and to pop, right? And if you are, working your 40-plus hour a week job, and you're taking care of the kids, this and that, you don't have time to put the time and energy into the workouts as some of those people who are looking for performance. So we got to think about the functionality of the workout at hand. And also understand too that the body's designed to move in 3 dimensions, right? We want to get the movements from a lateral perspective, forward and back. We want to get that rotation. So we want to find movements that will incorporate all of that, and try to get well, actually, let me get into that in a couple of seconds. But personally, I've adopted a style that focuses on the main movement patterns, right? So these primary patterns will involve some sort of pressing or pushing, some sort of pulling, right? Pulling in towards the body for the most part. Something that's going to be more hip dominant. So it could be bridges, it could be deadlifts, right? Something that's going to be more focused through the hip movement. Also, something that's more knee dominant, like squats, are going to be one example. Even lunges, an example again of a knee dominant movement. Rotation is also another aspect, right? So we're moving in what's called the transverse plane or the rotational plane, right? So trying to get those 5 types of movement patterns involved in your program is going to be key to having a better balanced workout. Now, primarily the focus will be on multi-joint movements, right? So it's not just one joint. Like a bicep curl, for example, is going to be single joint, right? Whereas a squat, you have multiple joints moving. So that's the thing. You're going to get more muscle groups involved, and it's going to be a little bit more practical in the real world setting just because, with movements you do, you're going to get multiple muscle groups working together, not necessarily just one muscle or muscle group working. So another approach to this, right, like the 5 movements I just told you, the press, pull, hip, knee dominance, and the rotation. Another approach would be focusing on upper body presses as well as an upper body pull. You have a lower body press, lower body pull, and then a rotation. Now, in just a little bit, I will go through examples of each of those, right? It's still similar to the movement patterns that I mentioned previously, but that's where this is going to come into play. But as you can see, you got the press, pull, hip dominant, knee dominance, and the rotation, right, as your primary movement patterns. And then the sampling will be down here, so I'll go over that soon. Now, other things that you can include, other aspects of your programming that I like to include too, will be something that's maybe more based on a carry, right? So you isometrically contract particular muscles like in a farmer's walk or farmer's carry. You're just holding dumbbells or a kettlebell by your side, walking around the room, something that's heavy that's really going to get you to engage those muscles in the forearms, even throughout the arm and even your abdomen. Anti-rotation movements. For example, a bird dog exercise, right? When you're down on the floor doing the bird dog, you have one arm that's off the floor, the opposite leg off the floor, and of course, your body kind of wants to fall down because that's the direction gravity is pulling you, right? So you're working against that, that rotation by holding yourself stable. So that's one example of an anti-rotation movement that you can also include with your programming. Movements that require a little bit more coordination, right? Especially once you are much more familiar with your general movement patterns, right? Then you can add something that's a little bit more challenging to really challenge the brain-muscle connection, right? The neuromuscular connection. And also stability. Stability is always going to be huge, especially as we get older. We want better balance and the ability to stabilize joints and parts of the body. So standing on a BOSU, for example, right, you have to stabilize, your legs will be wobbly. So that's one example of incorporating stability. Even using the ball, stability ball, right? So program designing, a lot of it's going to depend on your goals, right? You may want to work out every day. Definitely, of course, suggest that you have at least 1 or 2 days of rest. If you've been exercising for a long time, then you can get away with maybe 5 to 6 days of training. But for the most part, if you're going to do a 2-day strength training program, then I usually break it down so that I do an upper body press combined with a lower body pull. Okay, so the first exercise, again, would be more of a press, let's say like a chest press, which I'll do in a little bit. The second exercise might be more of a lower body pull, so that could be something like a deadlift, okay, where it's going to be focused on the hips, pulling into a nice extended position. So that's how I might design it. And then for a third movement, I might put in something, to target the trunk, right, the core. For the second day, right, that would be the main focus there, maybe, a couple blocks of those type of movements. But for the second day, something like an upper body pull, so like a row. You have a lower body press, like squats, right? You're pushing your feet into the ground to stand up. Or even if you have a leg press machine, right? Again, you're pressing. So that would be a lower body press. And then again, you can add, third, even a fourth exercise if you want, right? Surrounding core, maybe some cardio, what have you. If you're doing a 3-day program, I'll still follow these two, right? With the upper body press combined with the lower body pull. And then day 2, upper body pull with the lower body press. Day 3, I'll really combine both of those. All right, it might be the same movements that I do in day 1 and day 2, but just put them into one program, and it turns it into more of a full body workout versus just focusing on specific movement patterns for the day. Right, so that's where that third day can really kind of benefit you, because now you can continue to reinforce what you're doing for those first 2 days. Really get that that mind-body connection, so that you can be more efficient with the movement and get stronger as a result. Build up that adaptation. The other things that you can also, or that I do include, I mentioned, adding some core exercises with programming, right? Same thing with maybe a little bit of cardio, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. But rotation, I make sure that I throw in some rotation as part of these. It could be part of the core, right? Whether you're doing a plank with a rotation, which I will show you soon. It could be, maybe something to do with a press, right? There's ways to work in that rotation, even a lunge with rotation. But I do make sure I throw in that rotation there as well. And you, in addition to adding in core and cardio aspects to your workout, to your program, depending on what your goals are, or if you're looking for more performance, then you can add exercises that focus more on power, right? It's more explosive movement that utilizes a different energy system in your body, right? So you'll fatigue much sooner just because of the amount of energy that's needed to perform each repetition, right? So you can have a block of maybe 2 or even 3 power-based exercises, even like to start the program. So if we did something for the power block, and then go into upper body press and lower body pull, right? That's one way to go about it too. Now, when I design my program, I typically will have anywhere from 2 to 4 blocks of exercises, right? A block of exercises may include, like 2 to 4 specific exercises or movements, right? And usually I put in 3 per block. I don't always. I'll change it up based on what my client's needs are and where we are in their programming. But usually between 2 to 4 movements per block, 2 to 4 blocks per workout. And so that may include, like I already pointed out to you, maybe it's like 2 blocks of the upper body press and lower body pull, right? Followed by maybe a third block that's more based on miscellaneous movement. So maybe it will focus on arms, right? So you get some biceps or you get some triceps. Maybe it will focus a little bit more on different hip movements, such as pulling the leg away, or abduction, right? Abduction, right? So I might throw that in there too for the third block. And the fourth block, a little bit of cardio, right? It could be maybe using a machine. It could be just simple jumping jacks or what have you, right? And just having a combination of various cardio movements, right? So that's one way I like to go about the program. And also, as far as the number of sets, right, when I'm training my clients, of course, it's always going to depend on time. So it's going to range anywhere from 2 to 4 sets. Honestly, usually I do 2 to 3 sets with my clients, or even with myself, right, 2 to 3 sets. But if you have more time, then you can certainly add in a 4th set, again, depending on what your goals are, right? You're trying to get more volume in. Now, again, the repetitions, that will vary too based on your programming. Anywhere from as little as 6 repetitions up to 15 repetitions is typically where your sets will last. And if you're going to have a power block as part of your program, it might be like 4 to 6 repetitions, because you're going to fatigue out that much sooner, and you'll need longer recovery as a result. If you're focused more on strength, right, muscular strength, it could be 8 to 12 repetitions in that range, or anything muscular endurance, everything north of 12 repetitions. I know some people, Coach Kyle does this, right, where they go up to like 30 repetitions for a set. Okay, so I know that tends to be a popular way of training, and even with hypertrophy, right, trying to build up a little bit of that muscle size. So there's multiple ways to go about this, but I like this particular format because it does hit on the major movement patterns. So what I'm going to do now is get into just a sample. So this is going to be, excuse me, of what I would do for maybe the first block of a day 1 program, upper body press, lower body pull. So I'm going to, this is a good time for you to pull out your bench if you have that available, or just have your floor space set up, but I'm going to use the TerraCore here for this as my bench, and I'm going to grab a pair of dumbbells because we're going to go into doing a chest press. I'm like trying to look at the camera, I'm looking somewhere else, so sorry for that. What we're going to do now, if you have a bench, just keep your dumbbells on your thighs. And I know we've gone through the chest press in past videos. Coach Kyle has done so recently as well in his clinics. So I'm just going to keep it brief as I go through the press. But make sure, of course, your head is always down on the bench. So you may have to reposition, and the TerraCore isn't usually as long as a bench. Maybe it is. All right, so when you begin, I'm going to go through the press a little differently. What I'm going to do is keep my arms in close to the body, so the elbows are down, dumbbells are parallel to each other, and I'm going to corkscrew my way up to the press, right, through the press. So now the dumbbells are in line with each other, corkscrew my way on the way down, and again, my elbows are tucked in, dumbbells parallel. So I'm going to go press, slowly down. I'm going to go for about 10 repetitions here in this set. Breathing is going to be very important. I'm going to exhale through the press. Inhale as you return down. You can do a press on the bench, on the floor, on a stability ball, or even a TerraCore like I'm doing right here. I think that's around 10. I apologize, my number's off. But once you are done there, I'm not going to do it in the TerraCore because there's a lot of balance involved, but you can have your legs up and bring the dumbbells to your knees to help sit you up if you're on the bench, right? Or you can sit them on the floor, whatever works better for you. So that would be the chest press for the first exercise. Give yourself enough recovery, anywhere from like 30 to 45 seconds. If you need a little bit longer time, you can absolutely do that. And then we'll go into our second exercise. Now, with the way this block is designed, you can probably even go with less time, just because we are targeting different, a different movement pattern, which will involve different muscle groups, right? So we're going to do a lower pull, which will be, for today, I'm going to do a single leg drop. I'm going to lie on my back. Let me move these dumbbells off to the side. I'll get this out of the way so you can see me a little bit better. So on my back, and this is certainly going to be like that hip dominant movement. I'm going to start with both legs up towards the ceiling, and I'm going to straighten my knees out for this. But do you have to have your knees straight? No, right? You can have a little bit of a bend in the knees, or even 90 degrees. That's fine. I'm going to go a little bit straighter. Both arms will be up towards the ceiling, right? Wrists stacked over the shoulders. My arms will stay here. I'm going to lower one leg down. I'm going to tap the floor. I'm not going to rest my leg on the floor. Good. Just like that. Inhale down. Exhale as you pull it back up. Doing good. If you are doing this with me, we're just going to go 8 repetitions. This is number 8 in my count. It could be off. I'll switch to the other side. And if you notice my ankles, I'm keeping them roughly 90 degrees so that they stay flexed. Good. I'm also trying to stabilize the opposite leg, which also adds a challenging element to this movement. And 8. So when you are finished, bend your knees and then slowly bring your feet down. You don't want to crash down. You want to save your joints there and save your feet. So slowly we'll bring it down. And the third exercise for this particular block, we're going to do a low plank rotation. Now, typically for the plank, you're going to have your arms parallel but running in line with your body. What we're going to do is flip it so that they're running perpendicular to your body. Okay? And this will actually make it easier to get in the rotation, because that's what we're going to do, is add a rotation with this plank. We're going to go 8 reps in each direction, in each side. So with your feet roughly hip width apart, you can go wider if you like, but I'm going to keep mine roughly hip width apart. I'm going to roll, not only rotate to the side, but roll my arm up towards the ceiling. So it's not out wide, but I'm going to straighten out the elbow on the way up, bring it down, Slowly to the other side. I breathe out as I twist up, inhale on the way down. And you actually want to reach for the ceiling. I kind of reached behind me in that last repetition. I don't know if you can see my feet, but I'm also moving my feet right on the toes, kind of like a windshield wiper. Just like with any exercise, brace those abs. You want them to be strong throughout the movement. And we'll stop right there. I think it went to 9 in that one. So, got a bonus repetition there. But those would be an example of 3 movements I might put into one block for the day 1 program right here. Okay. I'm going to take a sip of water. And if you did these movements, again, you can always do these for like a second set or even a third set, depending on your time, right? All right, fantastic. So, of course, when we finish this video, you can always refer to it. Just make sure you do visit our YouTube page. You'll have access to past videos I've done, videos that, I don't know, you can't see Coach Kyle, he's next to the camera, but you can visit his videos as well too. And even with better body conditioning with Coach Laura, certainly check those classes. She does not disappoint. She will give you a workout every time. So let's go ahead and we're going to go through the second day program. This is, again, example of what one block may look like, right, of the second day. Now, this would be upper body pull and a lower body press. So I'm going to start with a 1-arm row. I'm just going to use 1 dumbbell here. I'm going to bring, you can do this on the floor, on your bench as well. I'm going to use the TerraCore once again. This should be a little interesting because, again, this has a lot of give to it. You're on the bench, 1 hand on the bench, and on the same side, you're going to also have the knee on the bench. The other leg will be on the floor because I'm lower to the ground. I'm going to keep my other leg, the supporting leg, back behind me. From here, you're going to do the best you can to keep your shoulders square with the floor so you're not turning too far away. Keeping your spine nice and neutral, back flat. You're going to drive the elbow up towards the ceiling, slowly down. Don't forget to brace your core. That's 5. We'll go 5 more. And notice with my breathing, I exhale through the pull, inhale on the return. And that's 10. Good. We're going to switch to the other side. I'm just going to turn around. And what's good with this, you can just go right into the other side. You don't necessarily need to have a rest unless you need to catch your breath. So we're going to continue on set B. As you can see with the TerraCore, definitely more stabilizing required. Again, just get the elbow up there. Even me as a trainer, I have to remind myself when I do my sets to keep my form. I've been doing this for years. All right, have it at 10 repetitions right there. Good. So now we got to focus on that pulling movement, which will get many muscle groups involved. Primarily going to get the lats, right? So they do attach to the arm up here. They're going to cut right through and attach to the low back. Pretty large muscle that encompasses a lot of the back. And the rows, pull-ups, pull-downs, the lats will be largely involved. Biceps are an assisting muscle group for that movement. What we're going to do next, let me move this out of the way. We're going to do a goblet squat. For the goblet squat, you're going to cradle the top of the dumbbell, right? So that's resting in the palms and the butt of your hand. Keep it close to your heart, right? We love exercise. So we want to keep it close to the heart. And now, your feet will be slightly wider than your hips. Even your toes can point slightly outwards. But as we sit down into that squat, make sure your knees travel in the direction of your toes. If they're moving inside of your feet, be aware of that. And you may need to do some corrective work before getting to the squat. If your ankles don't like to bend, then you need to work on that first, because if you can't flex your ankles correctly, you're not going to do a good squat. I don't want you getting hurt. So you can check out some of our other videos on corrective exercise to see more detail on that. I'll do one more. This might be 11, I'm not sure. But we'll stop right there. Good. So 10 repetitions right there. And then exercise number 3 for that first block in day 2, we have coming up jumping jacks. So instead of core, I decided let's add in some cardio. Now, I do not have my phone on me, but I do have a stopwatch. So what we'll do is we're going to go with about 30 seconds for this set. All right. Again, we're going to start with our feet closer together, arms by your side. As you come up, legs will separate, arms come up overhead, back down. If you're having shoulder issues, you can even bring them up to about chest, shoulder height. You don't have to come all the way up overhead. So here we go, and begin. I'm wearing the microphone, so hopefully you're not hearing too much noise. Notice I'm nice and light on my feet. If you need, I shouldn't say need, but if you want an added challenge, you can go a little bit faster. Let me see what time we're at. 3, 2, 1, and we'll stop right there. Good. Oops. Sometimes I get confused by these things. Here we go. All right, very nice. So again, that is an example of the second block, or how you can compose a block right between, like on day 2, upper body pull, lower body press, and then throwing in a cardio instead of the core, right? So there's many ways to do it, but this is more the backbone of the programming I typically follow. Not the only way to do it. There are many ways to do it, but it gives you an idea of how you can do it, right? And it does work in the main movement patterns that we're looking to accomplish. So I hope you have gotten some pretty good information from this session today, and I look forward to seeing you with future coaches clinics. So stay tuned for Coach Kyle's clinic on Tuesday next week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great one.